Welcome to the Giving You Everything show. I'm so excited to have our first guest of the season here, Ivette Fullerton. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm a little frazzled, but I'm good.
Tell us about your frazzle. Tell us about your frazzle.
We're good. We are having technical difficulties.
Yep, yep.
Um,
It's real life. Mercury's not in retrograde, but it's probably doing something.
no. According to my notebook, it's not. Actually, it is. It's opposing Jupiter.
Okay. So maybe we're getting a little spicy in here today. So I'm super excited to have Yvette Fullerton on the podcast. She owns a beautiful business. She's a writer, and we're going to also dive into astrology. We'll talk a little bit about how we know each other, and she'll talk more about herself. But yeah, we're going to dive into how she's built her businesses, how she thinks about building her writing career, which she's written books, people, and yeah, I'm excited to have her here today. And then we're also going to touch on more of our woo witchy side and talk about astrology and how that really integrates into how she's built her business and how she lives her life. And so, yeah, tell us a little bit. Actually, how's your day going? Like, what have you been up to today? I know you live in multiple lives. So to give everyone a little insight on what your day has already looked like.
Okay. Would you like me to introduce myself a little bit? Or just go over
Sure.
my day?
Sure. Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Yvette Fullerton. I am the founder of Cualli Co, a sustainable beach coastal lifestyle brand celebrating my Mexican heritage. And I'm a novelist. I finished my first book, currently pitching to agents. And I'm a mom and friend and daughter. But most importantly, I'm a first gen daughter of immigrant parents, which I think actually is what the common thread in everything that I've done with my business, with my writing. So yeah. And
Amazing.
my day, oh my goodness. So it started by actually been trying to start a new habit of walking every morning before I start my day. So after I drop off my kiddos, I go walk and then I come back and I get ready and start doing some writing. So I try to do some time blocking. So I'll work on writing and revising my novel, and then I'll go into doing some work for Wally, and then I'll go pick up kids, and then we
Oh
go
my
to
goodness.
practice and dinners and doctor's
Yep.
appointments and all the things. So yeah.
All the things. So running a business, running a household, doing all the things, which is beautiful. Can you tell everyone like how we know each other? Well, how did we meet?
Yeah. We met we met at Savon, which is a co-working space here in Hawaii, in Hawaii Kai, and I was working the front desk
Yeah.
and you came in with Leo. I think we just started talking about business or if you were a new member, and then it actually was astrology that got
Yeah.
us to connecting, and that's
That's
how
what we're
it
here
all
to talk about
started.
today. I know. Yeah, no, I walked into Savon and Yvette was just sitting there all like ethereal with her hair, and she was actually editing her book, and she was like, "Oh, I'm like working on my book," but then she was talking about she's about to launch a business, and then we started. I don't know why. I don't. That's crazy how we got on. I mean, it's not that crazy now that we know each other how we got on it so quickly, but we were talking about astrology. Something must have been going on in the stars, and how we love Chani. And in the moment, I was like, this girl's gonna be my friend. I had moved to this island really wanting to like meet more people who I could connect with more on my spiritual and like, woo, we'll call it woo, but I would say like spiritual side. And so I felt like I manifested her in that moment. I did not reach out to her for a few months, but did make it happen. So I'm so excited to have you here today. It's like full circle. It's like so beautiful.
It is full circle. Thank you for having me as your first guest. I
Yeah.
was thinking earlier as I was getting ready for this, I'm like, okay, well, I hope I get invited back on when you make it really big.
Girl, we're big. Don't even. We're already we're already big. Okay, you can come back on when I'm in a like in a studio on TV. So yes, you could come on my TV show.
I'll be really nervous after that.
You won't, because we'll just shake it out of you. Okay. So this is actually, this started as a reality TV podcast. So I would love to hear, did you have a gateway reality TV show growing up? Something that like got you in? Well, do you watch reality TV? And then like, if so, what was your gateway drug of choice?
Okay. That's a good one. So I used to watch reality TV a lot, actually. During grad school, I was really just like mentally burnt out from all of the articles and books we had to read. It was just like really heavy. So for reference, I have a master's in clinical social work. So that is primarily what I did for the last 13 years, or give or take. I was working in maternal mental health and nonprofits. And yeah, I was really burnt out. So at the end of the day, after my internships and after being at school all day and doing homework and writing papers, I didn't want I didn't want to think. I just like wanted to escape. And I started watching, I think it started with Keeping Up with the Kardashians back then when they lived in that normal house, when they were normal.
Normal.
And then I started watching, and then it was like the Real Housewives of like different cities. And then I watched like Vanderpump. So anything that was on Bravo,
Yeah.
I watched, and E. But I want to say like my gateway reality TV show was probably The Real Housewives of either Orange County or Beverly Hills, like one of those two. It was, but yeah, and it was so ridiculous. And then I just like, they were all had like spin-offs, and so.
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, no, I take that back. It was Real Housewives of New Jersey with
Okay.
it
Teresa
was.
Giudice.
Oh yeah, she's
flipping tables.
she's a Taurus.
She's a Taurus.
She's a,
She's giving a Taurus when you've crossed her.
yeah, for sure. And so yeah, oh yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you'll have to tell me. We'll have to like go into the astrology of housewives. There actually, I don't think there actually are a lot of Leos, which I'm always like intrigued by.
Huh.
I know. Okay, so let's jump into why we're here today. And today we're talking about astrology. And for people who maybe like aren't as familiar with astrology, or aren't in the loop as much, looking at it as much as we are every day, can you give maybe just an overall definition of what astrology is? And then I'd love to hear what brought you to astrology, like your own journey to understanding it.
Yeah. Okay. So what astrology is? It's the best way to describe it. It is almost like a weather forecast for what the themes that the collective or you may be going through. So, I started with my own personal healing with reconnecting to spirituality, and then into also reconnecting to my indigenous Mexican cultural practices. And there is this indigenous knowledge and teachings, right? We are children of the cosmos, as above, so below. So I guess the best way to describe that is like astrology is the pattern, is the cyclical patterns that this dance that the planets make. And certain times, depending on where that planet is in that constellation and that pie in the sky, that's what certain themes are going to be highlighted, more pronounced in, your, could be like your daily life, or as we're seeing with the collective. And with personal astrology, is your birth chart is like this cosmic blueprint of the time when you came into Earthside, and it's almost like a little bit of like a guide of your soul and the themes that are going to be more pronounced. So we all have all the astrology tech or all the astrological
Like components. Yeah.
influences in our lives, but depending on when we were born, where we were born, what time, themes are going to be highlighted a little bit more, and that can actually be used as a tool to help us understand how we navigate our lives, or what our soul's calling could be, what our dislikes, or just, yeah, like just navigating the themes. And I tend to look at it more as like an overall instead of like predictive astrology. I'm also not well versed in predictive astrology, but it's just more in this understanding myself and understanding how I relate to others and relate to the world.
Beautiful. Okay, super helpful. And yeah, I think sometimes people are so focused on one part of astrology, or we're just reading a horoscope, or I'm just like so obsessed that I'm a Leo, that we're missing out, it sounds like, on the fact that like we're all being influenced by different things that are happening. And it's not just like one thing in isolation. And I think that is where probably people get most things about astrology wrong. Can you tell us about like what brought you into astrology? Maybe like where that even was on your own journey, it sounds like, into spirituality, and maybe it was or maybe it wasn't, but I'd love to hear more of that. And I know that's deeply connected to your business as well. So yeah, I would just like love to kind of hear how you got into it.
Yeah. So actually growing up, for all the Latinos out there, my mom used to watch, is it Telemundo? And they had this, his name was Walter Mercado, and he was this amazing, like, over the top regal, like he had a throne, he had like a throne and a robe or a cape. No, it wasn't a cape. It was a robe, and he would sit on this throne, and he would, at the end of the news, like, like they would traumatize you with the news, but then at the end of the news, either for the week or the day, I don't remember, then he would give out these almost like astrological predictions for each sign. And my
Ooh,
mom, yeah, and I think there's actually a documentary on him on Netflix I really want to
wow.
watch. And my mom used to watch him, and I think that was my first introduction into astrology. Now looking back, there is within like the Mexican culture, and I'm only speaking for my culture, but with the Catholic influence, there is this like, it's a this really interesting mixture of magical realism with
Mm-hmm.
spirituality, with like rituals, and there's just so much more. So I think it was already ingrained in me to kind of look at life in a magical way, almost like,
Mm,
right, like if there was ailments, it's because of spirits or because of el mal ojo or something along those
mm-hmm.
lines. So I think that was something even earlier on that I was exposed to. And then as I got older, of course, you kind of like get older, whatever your parents do, it's just not cool. I remember really pushing back against it once I started really getting into school, and I was really trying to, yeah, I was just looking at things more logical.
Yeah.
And then it took the birth of my firstborn, my daughter, and almost a near death experience to then really lean on spirituality and these, and almost I wanted to find out why. Like I wanted
Mm,
someone to tell me why. And like medically they had theories, and like, no one could tell me why I had that experience, or
yeah.
how to prevent it, or what it meant for me. And I remember astrology, and kind of, I don't know what came up, but I remember I actually feared it. So I was scared of it. I
Mm,
didn't want to believe in it. To me, it wasn't rooted in anything tangible. And I actually went into astrology as I would breastfeed my daughter at night, like
mm,
sleepless nights. I went into astrology to try to debunk it,
mm,
because to me, it was, right, I had heard about the Saturn return, and it sounded
mm,
so scary. And I was around the time I had my experience, and I had this fear that I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like that could be
mm.
that it was a close call. So of course the PTSD and everything was coming out. And so I went into astrology to explain it, and it scared me, and I wanted it to not be real. And
Yeah.
to this day I still look into it very skeptically, but I'm also fascinated by it, and I see the patterns, and more often than not they're actually they're very they tend to be pretty spot on, but maybe
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's
they
just for
are.
me.
And there's so many different, right? Like there's Vedic astrology too, which is, you know, based on religion and deep, like studies and research into like, some of the oldest like texts in our world. So I think in the same way, people use other texts in religion and other things to guide them. I don't know. It's another way for us to be guided and for us to know ourselves and something bigger a little bit more. Okay, I would be remiss because probably most people listening to this podcast know a bit about astrology, so it would be wrong for me not to ask you what your. I'll let you do your big five because I know that you're more complex. So tell me about your big five, and then maybe like tell us a little bit about the big three and how those like land with you, I guess, and who you are, and I don't know what your journey has been. So tell us, Yvette. I know everyone's been waiting to know your birth chart.
I feel like I'm going to be giving someone my blueprint of my soul, but no, it's a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah.
The way to describe it is you have your big five personal planets, which kind of help make up the themes of your personality. Then you have your big three, which is like the core theme, like the core personality of what. Um, and then I think it's also really interesting because then you have your houses and where
Yeah.
these planets are in, and that will also translate the themes a little bit different. So
Yeah.
I can tell you my big five, but I feel like for me, because my sun and my moon are in a house that it's little afflicted, it's not very supportive. I actually tend to struggle with like the way my emotions are, the way that I go after like my goals, like it tends to be a little bit more because of where the house that it's placed in tends to be a little bit more
Got it. Got it.
like
Okay. Well,
it's not
well,
as
tell
it
us what
doesn't
they are.
yeah.
Tell us what they are, girl. You gotta let them know. We're
Okay,
letting the
okay.
world
Oh,
know.
woo. Okay, that's funny. Okay, so my sun and my moon are in Taurus. I
Okay.
have a Gemini rising, and then
Mm-hmm.
I have a Venus Cancer, a Venus Mars, an Aries Mercury, and wait, is it Sun,
I
Moon, Rising,
think you said
Venus,
them all.
Mars,
Yeah.
Mercury. Yeah. Oh yeah, big six actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mercury. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
then
tell us. Go ahead. And then,
my top three are so
yeah.
your top three tend to be your sun, moon, and rising. So your sun is how you go after goals, and your kind of your core identity, which is my Taurus. It's kind of what you grow into, from my
Mm-hmm.
understanding. Then you have your moon, which is how you process, how you need to your emotional needs, your internal world, how you like to be nurtured, and how you nurture others. So that's in Taurus. And then my rising is almost like how you navigate the world and help others perceive you, which is Gemini rising.
Beautiful, beautiful. And this is an interesting question, but like, do you have a favorite planet or like the way that it sits in your chart?
Man, I actually really like my Taurus placement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do.
Tell people how that like lands in your life, and then maybe give us a hint about maybe how it's landed in building businesses too.
Yeah. So Taurus tends to be, it's ruled by Venus, so the planet of love, beauty, and um yeah, I think there's things like resources and things like that. We are in it for the long haul, so we're slow, but definitely in it for the long haul. So it's quality over quantity. So it's like we can run a marathon, and also think that for me it comes out in the way of like there's almost like a little bit of like earthy quality to it too, so very attuned to like the material resource world, but more on like a mother earth and like that
Mm,
kind of like the
moss,
abundance.
the moss.
The moss, I love moss. Yeah, so the earth abundance.
That's
And
beautiful.
yeah, and there is, I think for me, the way that it lands and the way that I've done, I mean, throughout my now that I've started careers in my business and my writing, it's
Yeah.
have been able to stick with something and finish it and
Mm,
kind of see it through. Sometimes to a detriment, like I probably should
mm,
have maybe walked away and done something different, but it was like,
Yeah.
nope, I'm in this, I'm gonna finish it. Attention to quality, especially with my business, like I am not compromising on the quality of the clothing or any of the things I'm producing. Like it's quality, it has to be beautiful, or it has to be at least aesthetically pleasing, and it has to it, in some way like still be good for the planet. With my writing, I think, and overall there is this, one of the things that I feel like I understanding my birth chart was, um, I thought I had to really just stick to one thing, and
Mm,
I actually have an interest and knowledge in a lot of different topics, and I don't know where to put them. And that was
yeah.
to this day, it's still really hard. I don't know how to say, or how to be like, yeah, actually, I was a therapist, I was a clinical social worker, I did this, but then now I have a business brand, or I have a surf apparel brand, and I also write. Like that is part of like my Gemini rising, that I have so many
Mm,
different interests, and I don't know how to package them all in
yeah.
one like easy to understand or easy to accept type of box for myself. So
Mm,
how can I accept other, or can I expect others to understand my multi-dimensional, and but one of the things is that's the limit I've been setting on myself. And so
mm-hmm,
that can be very Taurus. Taurus is very like, we like our
mm-hmm.
routine. I'm very routine. I like I have to have a routine. If not, I feel off balance. And the the Gemini in me is like, or the Gemini rising in me, I should say, because I don't really like it's actually, it's something I'm learning to accept now, is my Gemini rising is the parts of like communicating. I communicate with my writing. I feel like I write better sometimes than I speak. I love to create art, and I mean
Mm,
I'm creative, and I'm finally able to express it in a way through my business or through my writing.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that is how it's kind of come across a little bit, and maybe in my top three. I mean, I can get more into more
Yeah.
specifics like the midheaven and all these other things, but in the top three,
We'll
it's,
save that for our next episode.
yeah,
Yes.
communication and art and all that. But yeah, what about
Beautiful.
yours, Victoria? Please
Oh,
tell the
okay.
world,
Yeah.
what are yours?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about mine. But also, yeah, I think we can talk about this more in the business side. But I mean, I see the thorough line. It might be my rising, but through them all. But yeah, my top six. Let's do. I mean, if you've been listening to this podcast, I am a Leo sun. So it's with us Leos, we love ourselves and we love each other and we love everyone else surprisingly. So don't be scared of us if when we're out there loving ourselves. We promise there's like enough room for everyone else. I'm an Aquarius rising, which like I didn't know until a few years ago, and I'm definitely Aquarius rising. It is, someone who is a bit of a rebel, is like looking to move towards justice, who wants to do things against the grain, just to do things against the grain, has like a bit of I don't know, can sometimes have a cool exterior. And I have my rising and my sun are at opposite ends, and so it's really interesting that I was reading last night where it's like your job is to learn how to integrate those two things, which are very different. And then I have a Sagittarius moon, which basically just means I feel through like traveling, through experiencing like other cultures, through keep moving adventures, like I was just telling Yvette yesterday, like, I need to like do something that gets my heart rate up. Like, I don't know, jump off a building. I need a bungee jump. I like something needs to happen right now. I have like too many emotions stuck inside me. And then I also, my Mars and my Venus are both Leo. And my Mercury is Cancer. So that helps me not be mean to people as much. My Mercury in Cancer. Though Cancers can be mean sometimes. Sorry, Mom, love you. But but at the same time,
Protective, protective.
well, they can be protective of themselves too, but in their feelings. But yeah, I think yeah, I love my. I mean, I like having so much in Leo, because yeah, I don't know, it just feels like fun. I think Leos, we just like we're lucky. We do have a summer birthday, which you could see as unlucky too, because we never got to be in school for our birthdays. But it was always usually good weather. We like we were having a good time. I don't know. There's something very bright and light and fun about being a Leo. So I do like it's not surprising. I like my top six. Thank you for asking me.
Of course.
Okay. So we're chatting about astrology. I guess what would be most helpful maybe is how should people think about getting into astrology? And then I want to start to move us into how you've built your business. And I definitely want to dive a little bit into almost like the thorough line that I see through what you're putting into the world, and kind of how you've gotten to where you've gotten. But first question is just like people who want to learn more about astrology or dive deeper, like what would you suggest they do?
Well, I love Chani. Chani
Yep.
Nicholas is a great astrologer and very uplifting. I think it's really hard. I think it's to find an astrologer, or when you're looking into astrology, it's real easy to, there's a lot of fear-based, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
predictive fear-based astrology. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Chani does a really good job at making it relatable, easy to understand in a way you can implement it on your day-to-day life. And I love that she's very social justice
Yep.
oriented, and that's just such a big deal for me as well. My midheaven is in Aquarius, so there is a lot of like social justice and
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit work and things like that related to the work that I've always done, and even now as I see it with my writing and with my businesses. So wanted to say that because you were talking about your Aquarius rising. I'm like, yeah, I was like, I can it pairs very nicely. But with astrology, I'd say just look into her, download her app. It's free. You can kind of get like your top your top planets. That would be a good resource. And I think it's just really understanding your top three is like, okay, well, what are my top three? How is it that I want to go after goals? What is the traits I'm kind of growing into, or the themes I'm striving for, which is your sun, and how is it that I like to be nurtured and nurture others, your moon, and then how is it that I present to the world,
Yeah.
and that's your rising. And so understanding those three, and then moving on to your top six of like, how do I like to love and be loved, and how do I communicate, and what is it like when I fight with other people? That's your Mars, and like,
Yeah.
or things like that. And so, yeah, your drive. Um, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, yeah. Go to Chani and her app is free. She has like a paid component, but you get a lot for free in her app. And you can even like listen to on her Instagram. She's on TikTok, I think, now too. So definitely follow her because she gives like such good guidance in this crazy world of that, like you said, isn't, yeah, totally doom and screw, but still very just doom and scroll, but totally still very honest. Can you tell me, wait, do you know what Chani's placements are?
I don't actually.
We should look that up.
We
Okay.
should.
Or
I'm sure
comment
she
below
shared
if you
it
do
somewhere.
know. I know. Or maybe she's hiding it like you were trying to. Okay. So tell me about how do you integrate astrology into business and writing? Like how have those two things merged for you?
Um, oh my goodness. I feel like I integrate astrology all the time. We have the real, there's like it's your rising. I am the type of person that will, when you're around me long enough, or actually not even at this point, I'm just like, yeah, it's because the moon is in this sign, or, I'm randomly dropping in some astrology hints to the point that I even find myself a little annoying sometimes. I'm like, okay, it's not because of that all the time, but it's always
But
nice,
it is.
but
But
it
it
is,
is.
and it's always
It's
nice
your
to just,
moon. It's your
yeah,
moon.
it's your mood. Yeah. But how I integrate it with work, it's really on the transits, the way that I use
Mm,
it. So, using like Chani has been really helpful, but there's another girl I used to listen to, and I think it was like Astrology with Alice, and she would give like a weekly forecast of what the moon was doing, and sometimes like it's it was like a nice reminder of like we are cyclical, we are part of nature, we are nature, we live with especially women, we have our own cycle that mirrors
mm,
the moon. And so like, what is the moon doing, how what and it's almost like sometimes it gives you permission, even if it's just like a little bit of like psychological, like I don't know, like a little bit of a psychological energy drink sip. I don't know what to call it, but it's almost like,
yeah.
oh, the moon is in Leo, so it's okay to be out there, and
Yeah.
or the moon is in Cancer. Go ahead and stay home and get in your comfy pajamas and watch some,
Mm,
like reruns or something. But with my business, sometimes I do try to time it around. So, like, if I'm going to put something out or a statement or something, like, if there's like something favorable happening in the stars, like, I'm like, okay, maybe this, so I'll try to time it with that.
Yeah.
When it comes to my writing, I don't, so even with both of these, I honestly will say when I was leaving social work, I was not using astrology to do it. Actually, the astrology was just happening. And
Hmm.
later on, after I looked back and looked at what the transits meant, and that's like another way of like, I wanted to debunk it. I'm like, no, there's no way. So for me, Uranus has been in Taurus for the last 7 years, which is causing a lot of upheaval and chaos for fixed placements, a lot of moves, a lot of transitions in career and relationships, and a constant evolution. And it's really hard for Taurus placements because we love things to be steady and predictable. And then looking back, 7 years ago, what I thought my life was going to look like is completely different.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at my chart placements. I'm like, oh, actually, because this isn't the first time I've tried to start a business, but it just wasn't the right business for
Hmm.
me. Or even with writing, it's something I've always done. I had a passion for when I was little and I would do, but it's not something that I like. The almost like the astrology is like I'm cosmically aligned, if that makes sense. So it's just more using it as like when I am going through big transitions or I'm second guessing myself as to like like, why am I really doing this right now? The world is literally on fire and there's so much suffering and it almost feels very selfish of me to be creating this business or creating this writing and not using the skills I learned to go help other people. But it's almost like I will tend to look at what's happening above and in how it relates to my personal chart. And I'm like, okay, no, actually, this is probably how I'm going to hopefully help more people in a
Yep.
way that's not burning myself out. And that actually was showing up in my chart as well is I tend to carry stress very physically. So I got really sick while I was doing social work and actually what started prompting me leaving. Yeah.
And can we jump into, so you're starting to get into it, but can you tell us, maybe you were a corporate girly too, working in 9 to 5. Tell us like what you did before and then what brought you into launching your own business and jumping into your writing career. Like yeah, that journey look like for you?
Yeah. So, yes, what I was doing before, I was working, man, again, very Gemini rising. I was working in social services and health policy, but had many different either little
Mm-hmm.
jobs or side things. So, most recently, I was a family home visitor for a while. I was a therapist for a little while. Also co-founded a nonprofit that focuses on revitalizing indigenous cultural practices around child rearing, but really just family in general and what a
Mm-hmm.
healthy community looks like. So shout out to the Cualli Collective. I was their grants director and helped with funding, and we also helped create some of the mental health talking circles before I left. And for the last also 4 years, I was also working consulting for the of Arizona Department of Health Services, their maternal mortality review committee. I was also on a special editorial team for the Integrated International Journal, or I'm sorry, for the International Journal of Integrated Care on how to bring lived experience in research and in just kind of connecting the bridge between nonprofits and research and government and
Mm-hmm.
on an international level. And I think that's it.
And oh,
That
yeah,
was
no, but then what brought you? So it sounds like a lot of
yeah.
your work was
Wow.
in, social services, and a lot of it in
Oh
maternal
yeah.
health or in supporting a community. Particularly, it sounds like you dove into indigenous practices, so thinking about your own community and your own Mexican roots as well, I imagine. Tell us about how you founded, you started your writing career. Maybe you started it
I
like
did.
while you were doing this.
good. Yeah.
So how that started,
That's right.
and also tell us about Cualli Co and how that got
Yeah.
started and kind of
Okay.
ideated, how those all came to be from moving from that world.
Yeah. So it actually started because I ended up getting shingles.
Mm,
And that wasn't the first time I was actually getting sick. There was other things that were coming up with my health that I didn't realize it was actually stress.
mm,
It ended up being shingles for me to realize like, okay, I think I'm doing a lot, but also it was during COVID. I was seeing
mm,
clients, so I would literally log off and then go deal with my own. Like
mm,
I was also like at the time I had toddlers and
mm,
like it was a lot. And so I ended up um I because we were stuck at home, I ended up and then I got sick with shingles. I ended up I couldn't go anywhere else uh,
mm,
at the time because this was early on in the pandemic. So then I started writing. I went inward, and that's always what I've
mm,
done. I tend to process a lot of I have a very creative imagination and I've always liked to write stories and I tend to process things through writing. And so I just went in and I had a nightmare and ended up, I'm like, I think this might be like a good storyline. We'll find out. And then I started writing it
oh my gosh,
while
your
I
book
was,
came from a nightmare. I love
yeah,
it.
I mean, I
I
feel like
love it.
that's a podcast episode for another one. But
Yes.
and then I was writing it while I was doing all these things. I would write it
Mm,
after work, after the kids would go to sleep on the weekends for a couple hours. And then I decided to pitch it to some agents and they were actually interested. They're like, you have a really strong premise. You need to work on your writer's voice, which I
mhm,
completely agreed. It was just as confused as I was about my life path at the time because
mhm,
I was really considering leaving social work. All of this was happening, and then my partner ends up getting a job offer, like to come to Hawaii, and they had asked him multiple times. I kept saying no, and I don't know. There's something that I was
mm,
just like, you know what? Let's just go and see. Like, let's just go and see. We were coming, the way that, anyways, the way it lined up felt very cosmically
mhm.
aligned. And,
Yeah.
but before that, so the writing, and then we were living in San Diego at the time.
Mhm.
I had found surfing there and we started meeting with a group it's another nonprofit called Surfing Moms
Yeah.
and ended up making some beautiful connections with other amazing moms. And we would get together and we'd surf. And during a time when I felt so isolated from
Mm,
my cultural community and my family because they were in Arizona, the ocean and these women that I was surfing with really helped me deal with the anxiety that I was also struggling with because my kids were toddlers. My youngest was like was like, we left when he was under a year old. So
mm,
and on top of the pandemic and all the work I was doing, I was dealing with like depression and anxiety again because that is something I'm just prone to. And
mhm,
so the ocean held me, these women held me, but I kept realizing I was like every time we'd go to like a Rip Curl outlet or a Billabong outlet, I'm like, I don't like none of my friends, none of the women in the lineup look like I don't look like any of these women. And I don't know, I had just sit in the back of my mind and it was the last surf session I had with this group of amazing women as they were getting ready to say goodbye to me because I was coming to Hawaii.
yeah.
And I was sitting with a really good friend of mine, Marisol. I'm like, hey, I'm like, wouldn't it be really cool? I was like, if there was like a brand out there that just had like our cultural prints in rash
Mm,
guards and in bathing suits and was for representing all body types and everything. And she's like, just start it. And I was like, I'm in the middle of a move. I'm like, I'm just quitting social work and I just wrote a book. I'm like, I was like, I need to
mm,
finish the book at the time. I hadn't finished it. I don't think I can. And she's like, okay. She's like, well, she's like, we were literally on a surfboard. She's like, this is our first board meeting. She's like, just revisit it later. And once I moved to here to Hawaii and I finished my novel and I found the community in Savon, everything just sort of really I don't even know how to explain it. Everything
Mm,
just aligned and started happening so fast
yeah.
that it would be like it's almost like when you catch a wave, you have to ride it. Like
Hmm.
when you see that peak and you know it, you can have an opportunity. There's no way I wasn't going to paddle for this life
Mm,
opportunity wave and jump on it and just see how far it's going to take. And that's kind of where I'm
yeah.
at right now. Yeah.
God, I love it. I love it. What a beautiful little, you're right. Your writing coming out. What a beautiful
Oh,
metaphor there as well. Can you tell me, okay, can you tell us a little bit more about Cualli Co right now and what, like, I don't know, where you, like, what you guys currently offer, what it's look like to kind of build your brand. And yeah, I don't work in retail at all or like in clothing or fashion. So maybe let us know what you've built, what currently exists, and what you're looking for towards the future. And then I'm going to ask a few more questions just about like as you've built it.
okay. So I'll try to make it really quick. We're currently, we just launched, we started, well, founded the business in 2024,
Okay.
the end of the summer, and the launch, and officially did a live launch and a pop-up in May of 2025. I've been really fortunate. I've had a lot of interest and a lot of support, which then, made me feel confident enough to then, invest in a couple of new pieces. So everything is, made in the US. And it's small batch, no restock. So I don't want people to buy it if they don't need it and if they don't want it. And I
Can you
also want it,
tell us
yeah.
what they are, like what the
Oh,
products
yeah, yeah.
are? Mm-hmm.
Of course. Sorry.
It's
So
okay.
right now we have women and men's t-shirts. We have
Yeah.
a women's surf rash guard, a crop top. We have a men's sun shirt and like a tote bag, some stickers. That was
Yeah.
what we first launched with. And this next season, I am so excited because we're
Yeah.
actually in production for our full body swimsuit.
Yeah.
That and then a full rash guard to match. Because the one we have now is a crop top because of funding. I wanted to have a full rash guard in the beginning, but it's more fabric, so it costs more to manufacture. So we
Yeah.
decided to go with a half, which is
What
still
it,
really
and it
cute.
looks cute. It looks so cute.
Yeah,
Like it, and it's very in. So actually, it was
yeah.
very smart. A good
And so,
pivot, a way to
right,
be
a good
open
pivot.
as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that is currently in production, and then we're going to be manufacturing a men's rash guard for a little bit more of a tight fit. Not a tight fit, but more tighter than the other shirt that we have out. And so,
Beautiful.
yeah, 2% of all of our proceeds have gone back to
Hmm.
organizations, but right now we're actually going to focus all of our proceeds to the ACLU to help the immigrant community and just help with the constitutional rights.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's, I think for the future, I'm looking at an ambassador program maybe. And I, I'm really, my goal is not to produce pieces that are not needed. So if I
Yeah.
still have t-shirts that need to be sold, I will not be producing more t-shirts until I'm sold out. Small batch, so small order quantities, and once
Yeah.
I'm out until I come out with a new design, completely different.
Yeah, so go look at
Yeah.
our website because something won't be there. Actually, I'm like, oh my god, let me go. Okay, super helpful. So, can you tell me for someone who might be thinking about doing something similar, either starting their writing career or launching a business, what advice would you give someone maybe like a little bit, maybe not even younger than you, a little bit earlier on their journey in that space? Like, what advice would you give for getting started?
Start as soon as you can. So, especially if you're wanting to write a book, the sooner you can start, the better. Even if you think it's bad, um it's easier to edit.
Hmm.
It's easier to edit a page that already has things written on it. You cannot
Hmm.
edit a blank page. And writing a book is a marathon, so giving yourself like small little goals.
Yeah.
Surround yourself around other women that are like either writers or building a business that get it.
Yeah.
Also, being really mindful, and this has been the hardest one for me, being really, really mindful of like where your time goes and who it
Hmm.
goes to.
Hmm.
Because sometimes that's the one thing you cannot get back is your time. And And when you are trying, if you're doing multiple things and you have a family and you have kids, and on top of that, you still need to hydrate and take care and get your steps in, like there's just not enough time, and the right people will understand. And I
Yeah.
think that's been really, really helpful about Savon and the Oak and Pine community there. They've met some really great women that have had similar conversations around like that I didn't know what I was doing at first, but like
Hmm.
hearing them talk about it helped me try to figure out how to structure my time and what to do, like whether it's time blocking or right, because I'm building two things at the same time. So it's like, okay, well, how much time is needed for both and time blocking that off. And then when it comes to like building a business, I know it sounds so cliche, but like it's just like just
Just do it.
do it because I still don't know. Like I had a crash course on apparel. Like I had an idea, but I'm coming
Yeah.
from social work. I didn't go to school for business. Like I am having to learn as I'm building, and it's which I think it's really fun too, but
Yeah.
it's also like it's just more like just Google, or I mean the internet's your best friend. Look it
Yeah.
up and like find out, like call and price quote, and always like I guess almost like what is your goal and then work backwards has
Yep.
been a little bit of, I guess that was a lot of advice, but I guess that's the main the main advice I would say.
Amazing. Okay. And maybe even a little bit deeper before my last question. How has it been being a Latina owned business in the space, and anything in particular for other Latinos that you might, any particular advice for Latinos or maybe like people who are first generation here? Like, yeah, how has that been? Because obviously the space is not crowded with us.
Man, I think the best advice I either read or was
Hmm.
given is like you need to have the audacity of a mediocre white man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Know that one.
And yeah, and I think one is I've been very fortunate to have had a lot of really strong influences, or not influences, very strong women, whether it was with the nonprofit that I was used to be a part of in Arizona, or even then, like I've seen women of color go after their dreams, and that
Mm,
has been really like inspiring to be like, if you can
yeah.
do it, I can do it. And but there is not enough of us,
Hmm.
and it is harder to get funding. It is
Yeah.
harder sometimes to, especially right now in this climate, it does feel a
Mm,
little scary to be
hmm.
out there and also not shy away from what my values are.
Hmm.
But I think we need more of that. We
Yeah.
need more Latinas or Latinos in businesses that are actually like one taking up space and representing. And that is, I think, the main, like we have to make, either if we can't get a seat at the table, then we make our own table. And that's kind of
Hmm.
what creating a business does, is bringing that representation of like what it of we can do it. It's not easy, but we can do it.
Yeah.
And the support and the help is out there. The universe always sends helpers, even when you're lost on a hike in Sedona.
Yes. Yes.
Which is, yeah. So I think it's just putting yourself out there, and this is really hard. I have my moon and my sun in my 12th house. I love, like I will drop off the grid for a long time. Like right now I don't have a personal Instagram. I don't even know if I'm going to go back. I wasn't on
Hmm.
social media for 10 years, it but then I have to keep remembering like representation matters, and
Yeah.
that is bigger than me. That is
Yep.
bigger than my fear. That is bigger. We need representation out there. We need the businesses that are going to give back to our community, that are going to give a space and amplify our voices.
Oh my goodness, so beautiful. And I think both your, I mean, your business, I know for sure, does such a beautiful job of representing, your community and, your history. And I imagine that your book, I haven't read it yet, does too. And I just see both of them as you getting an opportunity to, like, I don't know, it's like this beautiful way of putting art in the world that honors our roots, where we came from, the earth, and all those, like, I don't know, beautiful things about like our ancestors, our indigenous ancestors, and allow us to connect with that through, whether that be through, you know, your brand or through your writing. I imagine that is you getting to be the bridge in this generation for that and bringing it into, you know, what we have now. And so I'm excited to continue to see your growth with Cualli Co and with your writing, whatever the book's name is, but we'll let you know when we know. And to leave us, just any, I know you got to go soon because you got kiddos to pick up, but TV show, podcast, smutty romance novel people should listen to first, or astrology influencer, just one, just give us one or two.
Oh man, can I give you all of them? Okay,
Go ahead. If
podcast
you can
really
do it,
quick.
you can.
I can't.
I'm not on a time limit. I don't have any kids, but yeah, you can give me as much.
Okay, for podcast right now, I'm obsessed with Emma Grede. She has a podcast it's called Aspiring with Emma, I believe.
Cool.
She interviews a lot of amazing, really influential people that have started businesses, and I really like her business advice. So for business, I highly recommend listening to her. For smutty romance novels, because I'm a hopeless romantic at heart and love my romance novels. The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. She has right now, the 4th book just came out in October. If you like ACOTAR and Sarah J. Maas and ACOTAR, this is a great series, so it's actually been probably my favorite one after I've read that. And then for astrology, Chani, all the way.
Yeah.
I love her so much.
We're
She's
obsessed.
great. If she ever
manifesting her on the show.
I know.
So
I was trying to actually, before I, was like, yeah, I'll start this business. I was trying to work for Chani. I was like, listen, I know astrology. I mean, I don't know.
She's got
astrology
openings
like
all the time.
But you know what? She has a great business model as well that I will be like chef's kiss on her business model that I definitely influenced by. So if she ever listens to this, I applied 2 times. When
she listens to it, / if you know Chani and you're listening to this, please reach out to me because I want to have her on the show and I want to be her friend. And I've seen her in person before, but but I did not go up to her and ask her to be my friend. But if you do know, if you know her, let me and Ivette know, because we will be her besties soon. Unless she's a Scorpio, and then she won't want to be my friend.
Oh my god. Anyways, I feel like this has been like just the main takeaways. Chani's great. Like this is like a Chani fangirl. Like episode.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Ivette. It's been so great to have you. Where can people find you at if they want to learn more, if they want to buy? I know you guys are ready to buy their beautiful rash guards, and hopefully, and eventually you'll just have to find, I guess, your name for your book, or maybe not her name. Come ask me. But yeah, go ahead. Where can people find you right now?
Okay. Well, thank you, Victoria. This was so much fun. I actually was very nervous. This is so much fun. So, okay, Cualli Co is on Instagram, TikTok, and our.
Can you spell it?
Yep,
you can get it in the link, but spell it for people.
Cuallico.
Perfect.
And we're on Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest.
Ooh.
And then as far as for me, for personal, actually, I am on Substack. I did write I think a piece a couple months ago, but I want to I think I'm going to start using my Substack a little bit more, really writing about my journey as I'm writing a book and launching a business. I think there's some nuggets there, and maybe I'll drop a few little teasers on the book. Right now, I cannot say anything because we're still working on the rewrite and agents, but it's a marathon. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. It's been so wonderful to have you on the first guest of this season. And we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah.